How can you harness the powerful energy of an eclipse? And how can you use it for your spiritual growth? Let's find out. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is 𝐦𝐨𝐬𝐤 and I help lightworkers, starseeds, priestesses and leaders to remember who they are. And I do so inside of my school of remembrance, where I help people to move through different levels of consciousness that mirror the ascension journey. And it allows people to remember their power, to remember their gifts, and to step into their potential to create the life they desire. And today I want to talk about eclipses, because those are so potent times to really collapse your timeline. These are the times where you can do very deep spiritual work and harness the most benefits from it. But I think that most people don't know how to work with that energy, so I want to give you some practical tips on how you can work with the energy of eclipses. Before we dive in, I also made another video on eclipses where I talk about the spiritual aspect of what is happening with the lunar and solar eclipse that I invite you to look up on my channel and watch as well. But after watching this one, they are both very important. So I'm not going to repeat the things from the other video, but I'll give you those tips. So first of all, when there is the time of eclipse, what we have to understand is that during that time we are working on the things from that previous eclipse. So every half a year approximately, you have the opportunity to make a huge quantum leap in your life on any level that you desire. Spiritual, practical, you are able to go to the next level. And you can think about it like the sun is keeping the gate, and the gate is open and you can step through it into the next level of your life. And when you do it, your life completely changes. But what also happens very frequently is that we don't manage to harness the energy of an eclipse, and then we actually are kind of stuck in a loop that every half a year we go through similar themes or similar topics that we haven't yet understood or mastered or learned. So you may be going through the same kind of cycle every 6 months or so. Or you can release that cycle and go into the next level altogether. And you can definitely go to that next level, and that's why I'm making this video, to help you. So let's dive into those steps. So the first thing that is so essential when it's the time of an eclipse, I would say 2 weeks before, then during, and then also 2 weeks after at least, spend as much time alone as you can. Also, be very intentional about what kind of energy you are plugging yourself into. So this is a good time to spend time offline in nature by yourself, because during those times the energy collectively and emotions of people go into extremes, and you want to kind of be in your own bubble as much as you can. You don't have to do it drastically and go into a complete extreme, but perhaps you can find some time every day to spend it alone and to pure your energy, purify it from other people. So you want to keep your energetic space filled with the energy of you, your soul, your higher self, your multidimensional self and God. And you keep this channel clear and pure as much as you can. Spend time alone. It's not a time to get involved so much with other people. Usually, those things that seem very intense and they need your attention right at that moment will just fade away by themselves. It's kind of it's not so real. It's just something that the eclipse triggers. So even there may be some people in your life who will be texting you a lot and wanting something from you and going through some kind of drama. Tune into yourself. What feels right in you? How would your highest self show up? and to which degree. You don't need to completely go against your inner guidance if your inner guidance tells you to spend that time alone. Most of those issues and things and traumas, they will just fade away once the eclipse is gone. So spend time alone. That's the first tip on harnessing the energy of an eclipse. The second tip to harness the energy of an eclipse is to build up your energy. Avoid any form of exhaustion. Because during an eclipse, what I see, almost like everyone, literally, I see with so many people, they go into some form of energetic exhaustion. It's because the energy of an eclipse makes you to like do things, go and like be very active. And if you combine it with being plugged into other people's energies all the time, it's going to really drain your energy. Pay attention if this is the case for you, if this is something you have noticed in your life. So it's so essential to avoid any form of exhaustion. And quite the opposite, we want to truly build up very rich energy. And again, if you spend the time alone, it will help you to recharge yourself. When you are by yourself as a light worker, you always recharge. You always purify your energy. If you can spend time in nature, it's going to help you. So think how you can avoid any kind of exhaustion. And you can also exhaust yourself, right? Unintentionally, perhaps. So by scrolling social media, doing things that are not important. Pay attention to your energy. You want to keep it rich and high as much as you can. The third piece of advice to harness the energy of an eclipse is to stay committed to your spiritual practice. I see this time and time again during eclipse, like people they just drop everything. They just stop meditating, they stop doing things, and that's exactly what we should do. So stay committed to your spiritual practice, whatever it looks like. Perhaps it's a meditation, perhaps it's qigong. Maybe you have this spiritual practice when you go for a walk and that's your time to connect to yourself. Whatever it looks like, keep it up. And even if you can commit to it more during that time. The only thing that I wouldn't advise doing during this time is connecting to the energy of the moon and the sun. During those eclipses, don't tap into those energies, but you can do any other form of spiritual practice that work for you. Have this routine, have this system, have it like inbuilt in your daily routine, that this is what you do each day as a form of spiritual practice. Don't drop it during an eclipse, because as I said, people tend to drop everything. They exhaust themselves, they stop meditating, they are too much involved in the energy of other people, and they cannot harness all the beautiful benefits, and there are so many. So stay committed to your spiritual practice, to whatever practice works for you, right? You know, if it's a right practice for you, if you feel grounded, if you feel a sense of spaciousness, expansion, then you know it works. So it's not just about moving through some motion, but you should also feel that it energizes you. And now the most essential piece of advice when it comes to harnessing the energy of an eclipse is to work on those deep soul wounds. I can guarantee you that this is the best time to look at those things, especially that has been stopping you on the soul level, that you carry from different lifetimes. But any kind of reoccurring fear or pattern is really good, because if you work with it consistently before, during and after eclipse, you are able to completely release it. And I mean it. Like, I have seen it with my clients and of course with myself, is that during that time, whatever has been blocking you even for lifetimes, you can let it go in that short portal during the eclipse. You definitely can, if you show up for it fully, because what those eclipses do, they highlight for you what you need to look at, how to work with it. and who you can become without it. So you have to claim it. So this is really the time to do the deepest spiritual work on yourself. Release all those things that you feel like you've been carrying with yourself for lifetimes. The biggest fears that you have. Perhaps it's a fear of being seen. It's a fear of your power. It's a fear of your potential. Whatever it is, work with it, because you will be able to transform it completely if you show up for it. It's so essential to stay committed to this. So work on those things. The eclipse itself will highlight it for you. It will show you what is it that wants to be resolved on the soul level. And it will help you, it will benefit you. It's really the best energies that can support you in doing the deepest spiritual work. And if it all works out, if you do all those things, you'll know. You'll know because during an eclipse you'll feel amazing, you will feel so great, and also after you will be able to keep moving forward very quickly, very rapidly. You'll be able to make quantum leaps and collapse your timelines. On the other hand, if you don't harness this energy, many people feel also after eclipse like being hit by a truck. Right? It takes them a couple of weeks to get back into the flow. And then they are stuck in some kind of pattern, the same as before the eclipse. They just kind of continue with the same fears. So if there are still the same fears, then we haven't fully utilized this beautiful energy. But if that's the case, don't worry, there is the next eclipse coming half a year from now. But if you do work on it, you feel the opposite. You feel like you are finally free from something, like whatever it is that you were working on, and you are able to go into that next level. So work on those things. It's not the time to drop your spiritual work. It's the time to actually go deeper into it than ever before. So these are my 4 pieces of advice on harnessing the energy of an eclipse. And as I mentioned, I have another video on eclipse that can help you to understand how the sun and the moon are impacting us and how they relate to the lower and higher self during this time. So I invite you to watch it as well. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like, share, subscribe to my channel. That helps me to create more content for you. And I see you next time.